So the 49ers have been pretty active in the first couple of weeks of training camp. A lot of comings and goings. They'll bring in a lot of guys for tryouts, and they've signed quite a few as well. But it's been kind of a revolving door at the bottom of their rosters. They get set for the first week of competition against another team, the Denver Broncos, coming to town for a practice on Thursday, and then they have the exhibition game on Saturday. So probably the way the 49ers will handle this week is that all the regulars, the starters, the guys who are being counted upon during the regular season, they will get a full practice load on Thursday, and then probably few of those guys will suit up, or if they do suit up, probably won't play much at all on Saturday in the first preseason game. 49ers are making a roster move today. They had some tryouts on Sunday. The team had a day off, no practice. The coaches came in and they talked to the media for a while. The offensive coaches for half an hour, the defensive coaches for half an hour. And meanwhile, on the 49ers practice field, there were tryouts going on. And according to the representation, Jonathan Feinsod, who's a fairly well-known agent, reported this morning that the 49ers are signing one of his clients, Isaiah Prince. Now, he's an offensive lineman from Ohio State, that broke into the NFL in 2019 as a sixth-round draft pick, really bounced around. He's appeared in 22 games in his career, 4 starts. He's only played in 4 of those seasons. He opted out in 2020 and then had an elbow injury in 2022. So, during his time with the most he started 4 games in 2021 with Cincinnati. So he spent time with Miami, Cincinnati, Miami drafted him, Atlanta, and Tennessee. So in order for the 49ers to make that roster move, they will announce a corresponding move as well on their offensive line. So that'll probably happen probably around 10:15. You can expect to see that on social media. Couple other things. Well, first off, let's just go through who they worked out. And I don't know if they're signing anybody else at this point, but they did work out some offensive linemen. David Sharp, who's been with 5 different teams. Deontay Smith, who's been he played very sparingly in his career. And they also worked out a couple of defensive backs. Zy Alexander, he was a rookie this year. He signed with Seattle as an undrafted free agent. He ended up having some sort of injury issue. Seattle waived him, and now he worked out with the 49ers. 49ers also worked out Fabian Moreau. He's 31 years old. He's been in the league for quite some time, since 2017, played 4 years with Washington and then 1 year apiece with Atlanta, the Giants, Denver, and Minnesota. And then another player from Washington State, Derek Langford, they worked out. So don't know if they're going to be signing any of the defensive backs, but the focus when they had the workouts on Sunday were offensive linemen and defensive backs. Again, most of these guys, if not all of these guys that they've signed at the start of training camp, coming in from the outside, really very little chance that they make the team. They're there on the 90-man roster, maybe as insurance, kind of an extended tryout to see if there's an injury or something that happens during the course of the season. We know where to find him. We know kind of shape he's in, and we know what his movement skills are like and how he can help us. So that would be what you're looking at there with these workout players, as guys who try out. Meanwhile, things are really, I think, coming into focus for the offensive line, as Chris Foerster, the offensive line coach for the 49ers, detailed on Sunday. He did say that Ben Bartch is, the leader in the clubhouse. It's his job to lose at left guard as the 49ers look to replace Aaron Banks. Kyle Shanahan, just as early as last week, or as recently as last week, talked about as a competition that he was looking forward to watching, that being Ben Bartch against Nick Zakelj. And so Bartch has certainly caught the eye of Chris Foerster. It seems like he's really liked him ever since the 49ers claimed him, actually signed him off the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad a couple of years ago. So Bartch has some skills that the 49ers like. They've obviously stayed in-house with the offensive line. There will be no starters on the team this year from outside the organization coming in. Ben Barch was on the team last year. Nick Zakel was on the team last year. So the offensive line very much coming into shape, rounding into that picture with from left to right, Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brindle. At right guard would be Dominic Pooney, and then right tackle Colton McKivitz. Another thing to keep an eye on is just the offensive line, the backup positions. And as Firster said on Sunday, it might be that the 49ers don't have a swing tackle. That is a backup offensive lineman who plays both left tackle and right tackle in a backup mode. The way he explained it, and as they've been showing on the practice field, Spencer Burford, who clearly is not in the picture to be a starter at guard, is now considered a full-time tackle by and large. And he's been working a lot on the left side. And whenever Trent Williams gets his quite regular days off, it is Spencer Burford who steps in and plays left tackle behind him. That, as it turns out, was quite a trampoline for success for Jalen Moore, who was the backup offensive tackle the last couple of years. And he parlayed that into a nice contract, $15 million a year with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Spencer Burford, in the final year of his contract, I'm sure is setting himself up, or hopes to be setting himself up for a decent contract with another team next season. If he gets an opportunity to play and excels, and we see how offensive linemen are seen throughout the league. When you have a good one, you keep them, you sign them early, because when a starting caliber offensive lineman hits the open market, the pay goes through the roof. And that's part of kind of the situation revolving around Colton McKivitz this season, who had a good season last year, is entering the final year of his contract, and another good season could set himself up for a substantial payday, whether with the 49ers or some other team. So while Spencer Burford has been working out as the backup left tackle, the backup right tackle has been Austin Pleasance. And he's somebody who came to the 49ers last year and basically immediately went into the starting lineup, because the 49ers had all those injuries at offensive tackle with, first it was Trent Williams, and it was Jalen Moore got injured, and then Burford got injured. And next thing you know, last couple of games of the season, it was Austin Pleasance who came in there and had to play a lot. So he's been on the right side by and large, and that very well could be the way it stays with the 49ers, with not a swing tackle, but two backup guys. I've talked a lot in the recent days about Ricky Pearsall and just how good he's looked on the practice field. So we'll see what happens there. As far as, I think they're starting to increase his workload, and certainly the practices against Denver will be good. And the work ethic, the chemistry that he has with Brock Purdy is very much on display every time the 49ers step on the practice field. So arrow certainly pointing up for Ricky Pearsall, who missed the first 3 days of practices as they tried to kind of bring him back slowly from an offseason hamstring injury. Another guy who really looks good, and it's got to be, a welcome news, but I guess cautiously optimistic about what this season holds for him, and that's Christian McCaffrey. Last year I remember, speaking to Matthew Berry and other fantasy experts, and Christian McCaffrey was on the top of everybody's list as the number one pick in fantasy football. Maybe you get a bargain this year with Christian McCaffrey. Don't know where he's going to go, but 49ers are also kind of pumping the brakes on him, giving him regular days off, but he looks really good. He looks, to my eyes, back to the 2023 form. Last year, of course, I think he just went to one practice in training camp and shut it down with the Achilles injuries. Achilles on both legs were bothering him last year. And then, he went away, got some treatment, came back, missed 8 games. And then when he did come back, didn't look necessarily like the same guy the first couple of games, but then that Sunday night game in Buffalo, in the snowy conditions, he looked really good. However, gets tripped up basically on his way to the end zone, lands on his knee, sustains a posterior cruciate ligament injury, non-surgical, and the 49ers decide, we've seen enough. Let's shut him down, bring him back for the 2025 season. And so that is the thing, the 2025 season, making sure that he's ready from beginning to end. And that's something I talked to Bobby Turner about, the 49ers running backs coach, on Sunday. And boy, he just has such glowing praise of Christian McCaffrey, his work ethic, his willingness to listen, his willingness to be taught, and just everything about him on the field and off the field, to get his body right, to get his mind right, and then, of course, the way he carries that off the field onto the field. And so I didn't even have to ask Bobby Turner about what the plan is as far as working Christian McCaffrey. And by the way, we'll find out probably a little bit more about Isaac Guerendo. He left practice on Saturday with a right shoulder injury during a special teams drill. So we'll see Isaac Guerendo quite clearly, the number 2 running back, although Patrick Taylor has been seeing a lot of action in that realm as well, with Jordan James out, and then Corey Kiner, the rookie from Cincinnati, showing some good things as well. But back to McCaffrey. When the subject of McCaffrey came up, and I was talking to Bobby Turner about him, he said that, the decision on how much playing time and, how are you going to use him? Are you going to cut his playing time? He said that comes from the top. That's not my decision. But he did say that the key thing is what I see on the field. And the objective is to get him and to get us to the playoffs, and obviously be playing right here at our place with the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. And we can definitely do that with him in the lineup. So as you know, Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, was it 55? I guess it is. Is that right? What is the Super Bowl? No, 60. Super Bowl 60 is at Levi Stadium, February 8th, 2026. 49ers certainly aren't a favorite to get there as they were a year ago with all the uncertainty and everything else. But 49ers are hoping that there is some measure of certainty with Christian McCaffrey returning to the 2023 form, because even watching him on the practice field, you can tell the guy is a game changer. So that's the quick rundown as 49ers get ready to hit the practice field. Expect a roster update, probably an offensive lineman leaving to make room for Isaiah Prince, who, obviously faces an extreme uphill battle to win a roster spot, as the 49ers roster and some of these camp competitions kind of rounding into shape, with Ben Barch basically anointed the starting job at left guard. So thanks for watching this video. If you want more 49ers coverage, head over to NBCSportsBayArea.com for all the written words and videos, and you'll see some videos of the coaches talking from Sunday. And that is it for now.